Don't touch the rules. You just have the meeting, please, because I lost.
We have a motion to reconvene, please. Mr. Madripolis, seconded by Ms. Monaco. Agenda questions. Please limit your questions at this time to resolutions under new business on this agenda. As a matter of fairness, you are asked to limit your questions to no more than one, and your remarks to no longer than 3 minutes. If you are here representing a group, please identify yourself, the group, and your position in the group. If you are here as an individual, please give us your name and address. This section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes. Please specify the resolution you are referring to in your question. No one? Okay. Superintendent's report.
I do. Hello, everyone. I just have one brief report this evening. Something that I don't typically do, but it's certainly worthy of doing. We have in our district, we are fortunate to have a flight team. And a flight team is a group of teachers, child study team members, Lisa Rizzo. They are a group of people who have been trained to deal with crisis. So if there is an issue in our district, if we have something going on, we have a group of trained individuals that can go and work with students and with staff. I bring this up not because, thank goodness, we haven't had a crisis in our district this year, but some of our neighboring districts have. Ramapo High School lost a student last week, as did Midland Park last week as well. And the Hillsdale School District in Bergen County lost a staff member. I bring this up in general terms because it was our flight team that was called to go to all 3 of those districts to work with students and to work with staff during their crisis. I bring it up because it's pretty amazing when there are things going on that you have people who can go and help make things easier in other places. And I think that we're fortunate to have them on staff. So I'd like to recognize Michelle Hughes, Dawn Savastano, Jennifer Piella, thank you, Regina Bucinelli, Kathy Carisi, Rebecca Cusick, John Macri, and Craig Alfano, as well as Lisa Rizzo, who took time away from us, and very worthy to be able and to go help a fellow district. I was at a Bergen County superintendent's meeting this morning, and I had the superintendents in those districts come up and thank us for allowing our staff to take time out of our day to go there and help them, and it made a world of difference. So unless you've ever experienced it before, you don't quite know how to get through it, we're fortunate to have such really great people on staff. So I wanted to say that publicly.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bleeker, do you have a report for us this evening?
Just to follow up on what I mentioned at the last Board of Education meeting with regards to the budget. As it stands right now, we haven't heard any update from the governor as far as a postponement of his budget address. So right now we are working under the assumption that it's going to remain as it always has been until I hear otherwise. Just so the Board of Education and the public has dates of what that looks like. With the deadlines that we have related to a submission of the preliminary budget and adoption of the final budget, we would on the March 14th Board of Education meeting, that's when we would have on the agenda action for a preliminary budget to be submitted to the county office. The county would then do a review of that budget, come back to us with any adjustments that they may recommend. The Board of Ed still has the opportunity to make changes to it beyond that as well. And the final budget would, / budget hearing would be held on April 25th. That again would allow us plenty of time to take into consideration any adjustments from the county, as well as meet the deadline to submit the final budget, which is March 12th. That falls in line with our current Board of Ed meeting calendar. Again,
March 12th or May 12th?
I'm sorry, May 12th. May 12th. I apologize. The final budget hearing, one more time, is April 25th. That would meet the deadline of May 12th. If there is a change to the budget address, which may necessitate us having an extra board meeting out of order, I'll certainly let the board know that and do the adequate advertisements.
Thank you. Mr. Fair, anything for us this evening?
I have no report.
Okay. My report. I had a request from Mary Beth Duffy of the Mahwah Schools Foundation to remind everyone that casino night is Thursday, March 1st, and tickets are still available. She wants me to give a gentle reminder to all the board members to let you all know. The doors open at 6 p.m. and the gaming tables open at 7:30. So if you want more information, go to www.vmsf.org for more details and to register. Let's see, on February 23rd at 7 p.m., the world-famous Harlem Wizards will visit Ramapo Ridge Middle School and for an evening of fun and great fundraising to benefit the Mahwah High School 2018 Senior Safe Graduation Gala. The Wizards will play a game against a team of Mahwah administrators, teachers, community leaders, and community members. You can go to their website, harlemwizards.com, or reach out to Cindy Van Alstyne, who is the Mahwah High School HSA 2018 Gala President. Let's see, there's some congratulations here to Carolyn Mavertish, who was recently honored for her 4 years in the Bergen County High School Chorus. The North Jersey School Music Association recognized Carolyn as the only student in the region to perform with the Bergen County Chorus for 7 years. And so that includes her time at Ramapo Ridge and Mahwah High School. So congratulations to Carolyn. Congratulations to the following Mahwah High School Band seniors for being accepted to the NJMEA All-State Symphonic Band. Kristen Springer for flute and Justina Kender for trombone. And we also have congratulations for Mahwah High School 9th grade band member, Jetty Lee Z, for being accepted into the NJSMA Region 1 Junior Concert Band. And then we had our academic decathlon, and they scored 13 individual awards and qualified to move on to the state competition. We've got Enver Amin, Spencer Sandusky, Paul Kuipers, Renee Cantor, Varun Patel, Ryan Adani, and Natalia Fay. So great job for the academic decathlon. And last but not least, we have a reminder from Lenape Meadows that this week, February 12th and 16th, is Random Acts of Kindness Week. So, if you're already kind, please continue to do so. And if you're not, this week is a perfect opportunity to change your ways. So, and that is my report for this evening.
Felt like you looked over here when you said that.
Just making sure. Do you have any board committee reports for this evening? Mr. Gallo?
Just prior to today's meeting, the Finance Committee met with Kyle, and we kicked off the budget process. And we also had a brief discussion on a review of the cell tower RFP that we received a few weeks ago. We have another step in front of us, but we hope to bring a recommendation to the board in the next few weeks. Negotiations will be meeting after this meeting to discuss ongoing negotiations with the administrators and supervisors.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hendricks?
Yes, in front of you, you all have a packet. I sort of borrowed them from the school board this past Saturday. Not the superintendent and the others, I'm sorry. And it will be the material that I was able to acquire from the various meetings I have attended in the last month or so. Beginning on January 16th at the Hudson County School Board presented which dealt with communication tips dealing with public or news media. There were no handouts available, and there's nothing in your folder. On January 31st, at the Bergen County Business Board Association, it was a roundtable format, and there were 4 different areas you could go to. Unfortunately, I could not get to new board members, and there was nothing available.
That's fine.
But they dealt with sexual abuse issues and answers by Lester E. Taylor, a partner of Florio Perucci and Fader. The handouts are in there and dated for the 31st. There was a legislative update by Sharon Seeler, one of the legislative advocates, and there's an interesting handout there. That's worth reading. It deals with some of the things that are presently being talked about at their legislature. Then there was a benefits program. I have not received, when you get home this evening, in your email, if I beat you home, you will have that handout. And it's interesting, especially the negotiators might want to look at it. On February 5th, I attended the Passaic County School Board Association. Topics discussed: school funding, school choice, state of education. Presenters were Sean Spiller, NJEA Vice President, Ginger Schnitzer, NJEA Director of Governmental Relations, Christopher Jones from the Jersey School Boards, legislative advocate. Excuse me. The meeting was scheduled too early with a very little opportunity for a definitive sense of direction. There's no budget yet, and they have no idea. All they can do is they say is, well, maybe Murphy will do this, or maybe Murphy will do that. They have no idea. Because Murphy's coming in new, his budget presentation will be on March 13th, 14th? I have it in here.
There's a bill out there for the 13th.
13th.
Best of my knowledge, he hasn't signed it
And
yet,
within
but.
24 or 48 hours, you'll get your numbers. So
Correct.
that meeting, your meeting may be pushed back a little bit. School aid numbers will be released. Schools estimated to be $900 million underfunded, if you want to do full funding that he wants to do. But real numbers are closer to over $1 billion. At this point, expect the same aid as last year. Governor is looking at $2 millionaires tax to increase, but fear that such a move would drive those 1%ers out of the state by placing the burden on the rest of our taxpayers. Relying on legalizing marijuana, not a sure bet. The superintendent's cap will be discussed by the Senate Budget Committee this coming week. Thoughts are the cap will return to local control rather than what we have now. The reason being we lost a lot of good people, and those who filled the gap, present company excluded, we're not experienced, and we're learning on the job. We've been very lucky with what we have. I'm not kissing up. Cadillac tax on health benefits, 40% excise tax on health benefits. That's been pushed back to 2022. We're not going to touch it right now. The federal government's a little leery of that. Now, one of the interesting things, Dennis, is Senate Bill 1414. It's called Passing the Trash. Has passed the Senate, and will probably pass the Assembly this week. While an explanation of this is in your packet briefly, normally when a school district employee is released and vetted by another employer, the previous employer will admit that the employee was in fact employed by the district. Nothing more is said. Under this new law, if an employee has been released for any sexual misconduct or child abuse, the prospective employee must answer 3 questions. And those questions, they're in your packet.
Been the subject of any child abuse or sexual misconduct
That's it.
investigation by
Thank
the
you.
employee, law enforcement, or state agency, been disciplined, discharged, non-renewed, asked to resign, etc., while allegations were pending under investigation, and finally had a license certification suspended while allegations pending under investigation or due to.
Thank you. The previous employer must then certify that the employee's responses were correct. Additionally, this law would prohibit confidential separation agreements when a sexual misconduct or child abuse case is involved. Will not affect other confidential separation agreements. I screwed myself up. This all occurred on Saturday, February 10th, by the way. They had a Diana Pasquale. All right. She's New Jersey Chief Public Affairs Officer, offered a continuing explanation of the new school rating system. For high school, if you look at the rating system, it's confusing. In fact, I dashed an email off to our superintendent and said the criteria is not correct. There's something wrong. And what it was, they based it on, for high school students, on graduation, rate of graduation, absenteeism, park scores. In the elementary and middle school, scores are based upon absenteeism, park, and student progress on park tests. The new ratings were established to comply with the federal Every Student, the SSA, Every Student Success Act. Measuring key areas of the progress, to measure the key areas of progress. That's why the numbers are skewed. They have schools that are always rated on top are coming down the bottom, only because they're not measuring enough progress. We did fairly well, but it was inaccurate. The full report is 20 pages in length. I'm waiting for it to come to me. As soon as I get it, I'll email it to you guys. It's not a grading report, she said, but rather a performance report. How well the students have done over the course of a year. Unlike the other ones, where we're rated 46 in the country. That's a different set of criteria used. Over 2,100 schools were listed, including the charter schools, so they're in there also. Judy Savage, Executive Director of the New Jersey Council of County Vocational Technical Schools, and a classroom teacher, Chris Nagy, presented an overview of county vocational schools. This was in Trenton this weekend. The next Bergen County Passaic meeting will be held on March 29th. It's legislative. We're expecting 15 state legislators, most importantly, after the budget numbers have been released. My dream has always been to be able to reserve a table at this meeting with our board members being present. One of our goals is to be, as the Board of Education, was to attain certified board level. We've got to start moving on it because it's not a simple thing to do. I have the listing here of what's involved, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different things you have to do. Part of it is earn 16 credits of group training within a 4-year period. So it's really difficult to attain, but it's doable. It's kind of embarrassing. We've been there all these times to see we're never there. We never react as we're sort of, no, not this board, but over the years, fairly parochial. We stay here. But as I tried to show here, these various meetings in various counties, there's a lot going on, a lot of good stuff. And it costs you nothing, an evening. It's all paid for. Jersey School Boards feed you and gives you the presentation. So that's all I have to say. That's what's been going on for the last month and a half. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
very
Peter.
much. Thank you for taking all that time and attending those meetings. Thank you.
My wife's happy.
Yes.
One more for policy committee. On 15G, we have a bunch of regulations and policies on the first reading. 5460 deals with high school transcripts. Policy and regulation 7440 are school district security. 7441 deal with electronic surveillance. Policy 8630 refers to bus driver and bus aid responsibility. Regulation 8630 is emergency bus procedures. And policy and regulation 9700 refer to special interest groups. Most of those are updates on code recitations, some language updates, nothing crazy. On for second reading and adoption of 7422 is the school integrated pest management plan. The only change here is we had to name, I think, Scott as our coordinator.
We do.
So that's the only difference there. Obviously, the ones that are on for first reading, we have a second reading if there are some changes that we want to make next time around. But that's what's up there for tonight.
Thank you very much.
Can I ask a question? You put something to mind when you mentioned that, where you had to mention Scott as by name. Why? Because it was another position that didn't happen. I can't remember this offhand.
For this one in particular, the school integrated pest management plan, they wanted the person.
Okay.
I don't know why. That's the only time that I've ever seen it as well.
You're absolutely right. Typically, it's done in general. It'll say the principal or the curriculum director.
Right.
We were just recently monitored for our integrated pest management, and they took a look at our policy, and they said you must include exactly who the person is. You know, I prefer it more general in case there is a change in position is what happens. So in this case, if there ever happens to be, then we'll just go back in and change it.
Right.
But they told us we must, so we did to comply.
Yep. Thank you.
Anyone else?
You ready?
Okay, do you have any board member remarks or additional comments on reports or other non-agenda items for this evening? Yes.
Yes, I would just like to acknowledge the passing of Doris Conover. For those of you who don't know, Doris served on the Mahwah Board of Ed approximately 20 years ago, I
Yes.
believe. And I'm not sure how many terms, but she was a wonderful woman. She died last week. She also was in a women's club in town, several other committees. And I just wanted you all to be aware. And Pete said that we should let them.
Forward that information to New Jersey School Boards, and they will put it in their printed material of her passing.
Thank you.
I only had one other thing that I wanted to mention, is I attended the screening of the documentary Dying in Vain by Dr. Jenny McKenzie. And it was very riveting, it's very hard-hitting, it's about an hour long. You can see it on Hulu. If you want to go on Hulu, you can watch it. The Mahwah High School Community Problem Solving Club attended. And they would like to try to get it into our school. Now, it would be rated R, so it would be an opt-in situation where parents would have to, agree to have their children watch it. But it is something that, in my opinion, I think that this would really, really impact the students, because it's real-life situations, as opposed to an adult coming in and talking down to them about drugs. And I spoke to the director about that, and she said that that's a huge issue, because kids shut down when the police come in, or when someone from a drug rehabs, unless it's a specific person. So this Dr. McKenzie would also come if we were to do that with someone else, and help us with getting a panel together and everything else. So, but it was very, very tough documentary to watch, but a very, very good one. So I just wanted to let everyone know about that. And it was through the Mahwah Municipal Alliance that was put on. Okay, old business. We have a motion to move on old business. Mr. Wendrikowitz, second by Mr. Gallo. Any discussion on old minutes? Everybody's good with it? All right, take it, please.
Of course. Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Kismarski.
Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
Yes.
Mr. Wendrikowitz.
Yes.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. De Silva.
Yes.
And Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, now I have 15, I'm sorry. 15A through K, I'd like to take as a block. And we have a motion to proceed, Mr. Wendrikowitz, second by Mr. De Silva. Any questions, comments on any of those items? Everybody's good? All right, I'll take a roll call, please.
Of course.
Thank you.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes, except I am abstaining on checks number 89661 and 89475 that are part of 15A.
Mr. Kismarski.
Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
Yes.
Mr. Wendrikowitz.
Yes, but I'm abstaining on 15E.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. De Silva.
Yes.
And Ms. Barron.
Yes. All right, now I'd like to take a block of 16A through S, as in Sam. Motion to proceed, Mr. Kismarski. Second by Mr. Wendrikowitz. Thank you very much. Any comments, questions on any of those items? All right, take roll call, please.
Mr. Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Kismarski.
Yes.
Ms. Conoco.
Yes.
Mr. Wendrikowitz.
Yes.
Ms. Saccone.
Yes.
Mr. De Silva.
Yes.
And Ms. Barron.
Yes. Okay, public questions or comments. This section of public participation will be limited to 15 minutes.
Evelyn Slaughter, 43 Thunderhead Place. Okay, I just wanted some quick updates on the technology initiative, and is there anything, any updates to be,
Would you like me to do this?
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
The technology committee met right before our board meeting tonight. We're prepared at our next board meeting on February 28th to do a technology audit presentation that's going to talk about all of our hardware, all of our software, and our infrastructure. Within that presentation, which I sent you as chair, Ben, also includes some recommendations as far as moving forward, and I believe that will speak to what you're talking about as far as the technology initiative is concerned. So I'm going to wait until Carlos Rosa and Sue DeVito, our tech integration supervisor, to do that for us in
Okay.
February.
great. High school parking lot, do you hear anything back from the police about the traffic stuff?
That is a great question as well. I spoke to Chief Vitale. Apparently, the town has also brought in an engineer to take a look at what's going on as far as the traffic is concerned. He's in the process of completing his study. I anticipate that he'll meet with the chief of police first, and then he'll meet with us. It is my hope that the facilities committee will be able to have some time to sit with us and to take a look at what those recommendations would include, which I anticipate are going to cost a little bit of money, not just moving a bush.
Okay.
So, up and coming, so we're just waiting patiently, and we're
Okay.
happy to work with the town
Okay.
along with this.
And then the videotaping that you're gonna be doing of the meetings.
Right, you
I
turn around and say hi.
Yeah, hi. So, I guess, what steps are coming with this, and will it be live stream, will it just be on the website? What is the game plan?
Right now, it's just on the website. It's going to be uploaded to the website. We haven't discussed as a group as to whether try live streaming or not, but it's something I think we've tossed around a little bit. So I don't have an answer for you as far as that's concerned, but right now it's going to be directly uploaded to the website. So.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome, thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Ms. Veronica, second by Mr. Khan.